Welcome to Just Thinking. The town election is on May 21st, and to help you learn about the candidates, I will be interviewing each one that is running for a contested seat. I will ask the same questions of each candidate for an office so we can compare and draw our own conclusions from their responses. These interviews run about 20 minutes each and can be found on the Holliston Cable Access Facebook page and at www.hcattv.org, so you can watch anytime and anywhere. So my candidate today is Vince Murphy, who is running for re-election on the Finance Committee. And my first question to him was, why? But aside from that, he apparently likes it. So let's start with, how long have you lived here, and tell us a little bit about your background.
Sure. I've lived here for 21 years. My wife and I bought a house in 1998. My wife actually grew up here. She graduated from Holliston High School. I won't say when. She'd probably be very upset if I did that. But
you have to tell us her maiden name.
Terry. Okay. She's actually affiliated, direct relationship with Old Terry Oil, if you remember them from Hopkinton Oil.
I do.
Yeah.
Yep, I do.
So we bought the house. Part of the reason why we bought the house, we liked the school systems, because I know that would be a question later, and just like the whole community. So lived here. My children both went and graduated from Holliston High School. They were in the French immersion program. So happy to say I lived vicariously through them, because neither one of us can speak French, and I barely get through Spanish. And so this was, we've taught them, brought them down to Disney, and had them speak French and order things, and they embarrassingly did so.
So did they, are they in college now, or are they?
My son graduated from Framingham State way back a few years ago, and my daughter is a freshman finishing up her freshman year in Elon University down in North Carolina. So
yeah, Kathy Shore's alma mater, if I remember.
I believe so. I remember that name. So
anyway, so did they do anything with the French afterwards?
Not yet.
Yeah, because my grandson did it too. And,
really?
Yeah.
Did he enjoy it? Did he actually do anything with it?
No, he hasn't, but he does plan to go to France, and it's
My son has gone a couple times, and he's actually going to be going this summer, I think he told me. I'm like, okay. He's got a friend who's living over in one of the Netherlands or somewhere like that, so they're going to hook up and go to Paris and things like that. So
it's good.
Yeah, exactly.
It's good. So. It's good. All right. So why are you interested in doing the Finance Committee position again?
Again. Well,
How many terms have you been on?
This is only going to be my second term, assuming that I get elected.
Okay.
I ran, let's go back. I decided to run after reading lots of different things in Facebook. People complaining about this and that. I think the big thing at the time was the tasers, and why are we buying tasers? And I said to myself, instead of complaining on Facebook, which I didn't do, let's go and join and figure out the committee and see if I have a voice and can add something. I have a finance degree. Let me tell you, I have a CPA. I'm a CPA. I have a master's degree in business administration from Bentley. So all those skills, I said, well, let me do something worthwhile. I know there was open positions forever. They had talked about actually making an appointed position. So I said, well, I'm going to take out papers, and I was elected. So I've enjoyed it the last 3 years. I've learned a lot. I think we are a good committee as it is. We have different opinions, but I think we all go together and have the same goal in the interest of the town together.
Good. Okay. Describe the specific skills or experience that you bring, not just you've explained your background.
Yeah. Well, I've been working in nonprofits in finance and accounting, different departments right now. I worked at WGBH way back a few years ago. So when I walked into the station, I thought, oh, flashback. But I work right now on the VP of Finance for a national organization for rare disorders, about a $40 million nonprofit that helps people with rare diseases, advocacy, and patient assistance. There, I deal with the budgets. So I live and breathe budgets. I deal with the accounting. I go through, I just finished up an audit of them coming and looking at it. So it's in my DNA, I guess, of looking at numbers. So dealing with budgets, how to prepare them, I know how to do it. And I talk to people, different department heads. And the same here, understand what the needs are. We had lots of people come up this year. Lots of people were asking for additional staff, additional things, and it's the nature of budgets. And you can't take anything personal. People will be upset. There's only, especially because there's only so much growth. There's only going to be so much. It's not like, hey, I sell more widgets, I'm going to have this many products, and I can have this much revenue. It's not going to happen. You only have so much taxes, and without having debt exclusions or overrides, it's only this is all you're going to do. So it is what it is, and it's just, well, how do we divvy up the money? So that's why it's tough, and some people are going to be upset, but.
This is a totally off-the-wall question.
Sure.
It just occurred to me. You have there are some very, very strong personalities on that committee. Are they not as strong and dominating in that setting?
I don't get that at all. Okay. Nobody's over dominating. Everybody's equal.
Everybody gets equal opportunity time.
Yeah, and very fair, and everybody's heard. So
good. Okay, so you're all experienced veterans. You've got 3 that are veterans,
yes,
and then a 4th that's running who also had experience, yep, on the Finance Committee for any number of years. So all 4 of you are experienced, some more than you are, but still. What do you bring that's different from what they bring?
Well, for one, I'm the only one of the 4 of us who has a CPA. I have a master's, as I mentioned, a master's in business administration, MBA in accountancy. So that, and also doing finances and budgets on a pretty much a daily basis. That's something I bring that none of the other 3 bring.
Okay. And what do you think the top 3 most important functions of the Finance Committee are?
Well, I was joking with my wife about this because legally there's 3 exact things the Finance Committee can do, and she said, don't read it.
Right.
But I think the primary things is to first develop the budget in the sense, trying to set the formula and, hey, this is the guidelines that we're going to do. We work with the selectmen, and we say, based on what our assumptions are at this point in time, we think each person's budget can only increase X percentage, or staffing, the salaries can only go up X percentage. That's the guideline that's starting with. From there, we get to see what people put in. Usually the schools are going to be higher, and we got to figure out, okay, what's going, and it's our responsibility basically to hear everything, listen to everything, and then make recommendations ultimately to town meeting, because that's what we have to do, and make sure everybody's heard and do for the best for the town. I mean, one thing I know you say, oh, I wish we had a more heated town meeting. I saw that in recent.
I'm not sure. Did I use the word heated?
It was similar. You liked it more exciting. I know Foxborough, and because I'm from Foxborough, grew up in Foxborough. Their advisory committee, which is not the FinCom, they're appointed, they recommended a $500,000 cut from the proposed budget. The selectmen are overriding them. So that's going to be a heated town meeting. And I don't personally think if something happened, it's our responsibility as Finance Committee, hopefully, to get everything out beforehand so that it's streamlined. Yes.
See, that's where I guess, and I do want to have the Finance Committee some conversations publicly about this, because that's where I disagree with you. I know everybody on the Finance Committee thinks that because they know everything that's going on, and it's on the radio, it's on the television, and it's in the Holliston Reporter, that other people do too, and they don't. Yes, you make it available.
I totally agree.
Okay. And so when people say they want transparency, town meeting is when you can do that. You can stand up there and just say, this is where we came from, and the selectmen can do the same thing, or whatever board it is, And truthfully, it used to be more like that. No, I don't like it when it's hot and really not just animated, but when it's nasty, okay? And it doesn't very often go that way, but I do like it when everybody gets to hear both sides of something, because I may disagree with something somewhere in there. But anyway, we will be having that conversation, I promise. So what's the role of the Finance Committee in developing new programs, initiatives, and/or services in town?
I think, and I had a tough time trying to think about this one. I think our role is to listen and hear why certain people want to do certain things, and see if it's fiscally responsible to do it, and advise accordingly. It's not to say, maybe come up with certain ideas. For example, the facilities manager, it was a driving force of the Finance Committee, because we look at consolidation saying, why is Mary Smith, or why is Leslie at the library ordering paper when we have it down here in the town hall? Can't we consolidate, have one person do it? In the same fashion, why is Leslie worrying about the heater going in her place? There should be somebody else dealing with things like that. So,
yeah. Okay. What is the top change or improvement or service that you would like to see in place should you be reelected before the end of your next term? So is there something you would change?
I would say, well, one thing I'd like to see is the fully functioning finance director. I mean, not the finance director, but the facilities manager, in the sense we postponed it because we want to get more insight into what's going on. Seemed like it wasn't fully fleshed out, and so we recommended postponing it, and we didn't advise that it gets put in this year's budget for May, but we're hoping for everything in talks and schools talk that hopefully we can put it up in October and decide, depending on what we have free cash. The infamous free cash comes October.
So that would be one of the things that you would be...
I think so, yes.
Yeah.
That would be one thing. I mean, you only do so much in 3 years, and it's not like we have a lot of authority per se. We have guidance, and we have no statutory in the sense, hey, you have to do what we want to do. It's more of advising and ultimately recommending to town meeting so they can do and vote upon it.
Yeah, and there I would say is where the committees, all of the committees, need to do more about informing town meeting. There are just too many, for example, in line items that change and that kind of thing. There are too many times in which nobody stands up to explain it. You know, nobody's representing the fill in the name of the board.
Yes.
I don't want to be critical. So, you know, I don't think that's appropriate. But that's my personal opinion. But again, we'll tackle those major global issues that I love to dizzy myself with. Anyway, so looking ahead, what is your personal vision for Holliston in the next 5 to 10 years? What do you see that it's going to look like, or whatever?
I think it's going to be similar. I think it will be growing. We still have a few acres of land that's going to be developed.
Not very much.
No, exactly, and it's another thing we have to be concerned about from the finance standpoint.
Growth. Yep.
New growth, the
Yep.
infamous
I'm
new
on the
growth.
assessors, and that's one of the things that, you know, we are talking about.
And I think one thing we as a finance committee need to, and we've been, is focused on the long term. I think part of the problem, part of the issue with government accounting is that it was all focused on current stuff.
Sure.
There's no forecasting, no worried about long term. It's only recently that we had towns have to put on liabilities for pension. And I think that was a disservice to the town. I think it was a disservice to all these municipalities.
Not to have it.
Yeah, because we have no foresight. We didn't have any foresight into what's out there. In addition, our capital assets. We're trying to get capital plans on the accounting. There's no capital list of capital like you would have on your own business.
Right.
You know exactly what you have to do, partly because you're going to be taxed on it if you're a for-profit. Secondly, just because you want to know what's out there, and so you have to replace it. We're developing in the Finance Committee a capital plan to figure out, when certain things are, so we can forecast. So we think changing the mindset of the Finance Committee and hopefully the whole entire government here in town long-term, rather than just, hey, we got one cycle done and we're done, because we have to figure out where we're going to be, and so we won't burden our grandchildren with unsustainable debt. Okay.
So the common opinion here is that Holliston's been popular with families, and that the reason they move here is because of the schools. And yet, obviously, there's always a whole lot of debate about, the schools get more than their fair share of the budget, and this, that, and the other thing. Where do you come down? How do you see it all?
Well, I think the schools obviously will get the biggest part of the budget, because that's the biggest, no matter, I think, if you go to City of Boston and go wherever, it's going to be the biggest portion of any municipal budget. So regardless, you're going to have it. Yes, I think a lot, people are going to come here. We moved here because of the French immersion program and the school systems. It's not like you're going to move to Holliston because of the great commute to Boston. I've gone to Boston. It takes forever, to get over to Ashland, wait for the train, and all the other things. So what else is going to drive them?
My favorite line is, we are 8 miles from anything. So that means you can't even start. You can't even start your commute until you get past that 8-mile thing.
I think Wikipedia says we're the only town who is on 3 different corners between Middlesex
Oh, yeah.
Worcester and then Norfolk County. So, I mean, that means something. No, it means...
It's meaningless.
It is. So it's like
meaningless.
but it's a wonderful town. We're in the middle of ruralness. It's safe. So I think there's other things why people move here. But yes, I think a lot of driving forces why you say families move here is because of schools, and you want to have your kids go somewhere nice.
So what are you most proud of on your, from the tenure on the board?
I think the beginning of the development of the capital plan, the initiation of discussions with the facilities manager so we can have people, rather than the chief of police, the director of the library worrying about buildings, we have somebody who's more of a professional, because these are our assets in town. And I know I quasi take care of my house somewhat, but I'd rather have somebody who knows their stuff rather than somebody whose secondary job is taking care of the assets of town.
Oh, and I will even go so far as to speak for Leslie, who runs the library. Only too happy to have somebody else do that, because it really is a nightmare for her. Every time the plumbing goes or whatever. Is there anything you'd like to do over? Do you have any regrets?
No, I've only been on it for 3 years, so I have no regrets as of yet.
That's good.
No, I've enjoyed it, and I hope we've listened to everybody and heard them out, and yes, we couldn't give everybody everything, but it's a zero-sum game when it comes to budgeting, at least in municipalities, so. Yeah,
I mean, the bottom line is you're never, maybe some communities do have too much money, you know what I mean?
Well,
but there are...
Foxborough had an underride, which is basically, they lowered their taxes a few years ago, but now they're cutting, so it's interesting.
Well, one of the things that, Ken was talking about was the fact that our taxes will go down when the
schools come off of the debt.
Yeah, when the debt comes off. So people think that there's going to be money within the town budget, but actually it's going to be in our own budget.
Hopefully, yes.
So it'll be a little different. That'll be a little different. So you get a little bit of time here to just look at that camera and give me a pitch as to why should I vote for you?
I think all four of us are very good candidates, but with the experience that I have developing budgets, working with people and to develop budgets, listen to people, I think I would be a good choice, and my love for the town and the love for the people, I'd appreciate your vote come May 21st, Tuesday, May 21st. Thank you.
See, you polished statesman now.
No, I won't worry. We'll decide if I'm going to share this with my friends and coworkers. So.
Oh, you did fine. You did fine. So, good luck to you.
Thank you.
Okay. Now that the candidates have shared their views, please be sure to do your part and vote on May 21st at the high school field house between 7 a.m. and 8 p.m. Turnout for the town election in 2017 was just 11%. That's 1,100 voters. In 2018, only 16% turned out. We'd like to beat that this year and hit 20% or more. Hey, rah! There are also 2 questions on the ballot about retail marijuana to bring town bylaws into line with the latest state regulations. So local government hits you at home and is where you have the biggest influence. And Holliston is the living model of true democracy. Please participate. Thank you. Take care.